It is Tuesday, February 24, 2026. And if you've been anywhere near a screen in the last 48 hours, you've seen the footage.
Oh, absolutely. That overtime goal in Milan.
You've seen the gloves thrown in the air, the pure bedlam of the U.S. men's hockey team finally climbing back to the top of the mountain.
It was one of those where were you when it happened moments. Just pure sports euphoria.
It really was. But what you are going to see tonight, if you tune into the State of the Union address, is something that honestly defies the laws of physics, or at least the laws of jet lag.
Definitely the jet lag.
We're looking at a logistical miracle that borders on the absurd.
It's a timeline that just shouldn't work. I mean, we are talking about players who were in Italy on Sunday, are in the House chamber in Washington, D.C. tonight, and are expected to be playing professional hockey games tomorrow.
That is the part that blows my mind. This isn't just a victory lap. It's this wild collision course between Olympic glory and the cold, hard scheduling of the NHL. So our mission for today's deep dive is to figure out how this is even possible. We've pulled the flight logs, the player statements. We've got reports from USA Today, the Denver Post, the Tampa Bay Times, the Sporting Tribune.
And the broadcast transcripts from Good Morning America, too.
Exactly. We are going to look at who is in DC, who isn't, and what all of this tells us about the business of being an athlete in 2026.
And just to set the stakes here, usually, when you win gold, the world stops for you.
Yeah, you get the parade.
You get the talk show circuit, you get a moment to actually decompress. But these guys, they got a phone call and a boarding pass.
Let's start with that context. Take us back to the locker room in Milan Sunday afternoon.
Right, so it's the gold medal game, USA versus Canada. It goes to overtime.
The tension was unreal.
You literally cannot script a higher pressure environment. The entire hockey world is holding its breath.
And then Jack Hughes plays the hero.
Jack Hughes puts the puck in the net, the golden goal. The arena erupts, the gear goes flying, and the United States has won gold. Now, physiologically, think about what is happening to these players right then.
Adrenaline is just off the charts.
Through the roof. They are physically exhausted from a brutal 2-week tournament. They're probably incredibly dehydrated. And then the champagne comes out.
And the closing ceremony hasn't even happened yet at this point. They are still technically inside the Olympic bubble.
Exactly. The emotions are raw. They're celebrating with their families, with each other. It's the absolute pinnacle of their careers. And right in the middle of that chaos, the phone rings in the locker room.
And it's not the general manager of the New Jersey Devils calling to congratulate Jack.
No, it's President Donald Trump. He calls the team to congratulate them. And this isn't just a standard good job call. He drops the invite right there. He wants them at the White House and at the State of the Union.
And State of the Union is tonight, Tuesday.
Right.
So doing the math, that is Milan to D.C. in under 2 days.
Less than that, really, when you account for the flight time and the 6-hour time difference. It is an immediate pivot from celebration mode to diplomatic mode. You basically have to sober up, pack up, and get moving.
Now, I assume you don't just throw 20 hockey players with massive, terrible-smelling equipment bags into the economy cabin of a commercial flight and hope they make it to Andrews Air Force Base on time.
Definitely not. When the White House wants you there for a primetime event, they provide the lift. The Trump administration actually sent a C-32 to pick them up.
Okay, for those of us who aren't aviation nerds, what is a C-32? Is that like Air Force One?
It's the military version of the Boeing 757. It's the plane that typically serves as Air Force Two, the vice president's plane. It was positioned at Miami International, flew out to meet them, and ferried the team straight to Andrews Air Force Base just outside Washington.
That is a serious flex. I mean, imagine being 24 years old, you just won a gold medal, and now you're flying home on a government jet.
It's the ultimate high. And we saw the results of that on social media. Matthew Tukachuk, who has been documenting this whole journey and is never shy in front of a camera, he posted photos of the team on the plane.
It looks like a total party atmosphere.
For sure. But beneath the smiles, you have to remember, these guys are wrecking their circadian rhythms. They are crossing the Atlantic, losing hours, and heading straight into a massive media storm.
And they land, and it's straight to the Oval Office.
Pretty much. Earlier today, Tuesday, the team arrived at the White House. We've all seen the footage of them in their suits, which, by the way, is a logistical feat in itself.
Right. Did they pack suits for Italy? Did someone FedEx 20 tailored suits to Milan?
That's the real mystery of the day. But they look sharp. They're standing around the Resolute desk shaking hands with the president. It's that classic image of sports meeting state.
And the big names were there.
The core was there. Jack Hughes, obviously. His brother, Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin. Connor Hellebuyck, the goalie who stood on his head all tournament. About 20 guys in total made the trip.
About 20. But an Olympic hockey roster is 25 players.
And that discrepancy is where this story gets really fascinating to me. Because while the cameras are focused on the guys in the suits tonight, there are 5 empty chairs.
The missing 5.
Correct. And this is where the reality of the calendar crashes into the party.
Now, historically, when athletes skip a White House visit, the immediate assumption is politics. We've seen it with the NBA, we've seen it with the NFL. Someone doesn't like the administration, so they stay home to make a statement. Is that what we're seeing here?
If you look at the social media chatter, people are certainly trying to frame it that way. It's very easy to project that narrative. But if you look at the actual reporting specifically from the local beat writers covering these players, the story is much more pragmatic. It's strictly about the NHL schedule.
Because the league didn't pause indefinitely for them to celebrate.
No, the Olympic break is over. The NHL season resumes tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wait, let me get this straight. You play for a gold medal on Sunday in Europe. You fly across the ocean on Monday. You do the White House press circuit on Tuesday. And you are expected to play a professional hockey game on Wednesday.
That is the reality. And for 5 specific players, that math just did not add up. They prioritized their NHL clubs over the State of the Union.
Who are we talking about? Who made the call to skip?
It's a mix of veterans and key role players. You have Jake Guentzel from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Brock Nelson from the Colorado Avalanche, Kyle Connor from the Winnipeg Jets, Jake Oettinger, the goalie for Dallas, and Jackson LaCombe from the Anaheim Ducks.
Did they give official reasons?
Yeah.
Or did they just ghost the invite?
They were pretty transparent, actually. Take Kyle Connor. The reporters noted that while his teammates were shaking hands in the Oval Office, he was literally on the ice in Winnipeg for a Tuesday practice skate.
He was already back at work.
Fully back at work. He gave a quote that I think perfectly sums up the mindset of a pro athlete. He said, "I'm just getting ready. We play on Wednesday. It's a big second half, so I just wanted to make sure I was ready."
It's a big second half. That's referring to the playoff push.
Exactly. The Winnipeg Jets are in a dogfight for positioning right now. They need him at 100%. If he goes to D.C., he's standing on his feet all day. He's dealing with more travel, more jet lag. He's risking his performance for the club that actually pays his salary.
It's a completely valid point. And Winnipeg isn't exactly a short commuter hop from D.C. either. What about the others?
Similar stories across the board. Brock Nelson told the Denver Post he wanted to see his family. He has kids. He's been gone for weeks in a different country. And the Avalanche have to travel to Utah for a game on Thursday.
So he essentially had one day today, Tuesday, to be a dad before he has to be a hockey player again.
Right. He chose his kids over the photo op.
Hard to argue with that. I think any parent gets that instantly.
Then you have the goalies. Jake Oettinger went straight back to Dallas. Reports showed he was back in Texas before the White House visit even started. You have to understand, goalies are, well, they are a different breed.
They are creatures of extreme habit.
Extreme habit. Their routine is sacred. Sleep, stretching, hand-eye exercises. Disrupting a goalie's sleep schedule right before a game is a literal nightmare for a coach. Oettinger knows his body. He knows that standing around in a suit in D.C. after a transatlantic flight is not how you prepare to stop pucks moving at 100 miles per hour the next day.
So really, this isn't a protest at all. It's load management.
It's high-stakes load management. These guys are assets worth millions of dollars to their respective franchises. Playing an NHL game while severely jet-lagged is just a recipe for a groin strain or a bad loss. And Jackson LaCombe, he's trying to get back to Anaheim.
That's the West Coast.
Yeah, the travel alone made the D.C. trip impossible if he wanted to be ready to play. And Jake Guentzel was reported to be in Tampa, even though he didn't skate Tuesday. They're all just trying to reset.
It really highlights the day job aspect of being an Olympian that we as fans often forget. The gold medal is forever, but the contract extension is earned on Wednesday nights in February.
Precisely. And the teams, the Lightning, the Avalanche, the Stars, they're probably privately thrilled these guys skipped. They want their stars rested, not rubbing elbows at a cocktail party.
Speaking of complex logistics and awkward invitations, we have to talk about the women's team. Because the U.S. women also won gold in Milan.
They did. An absolutely massive achievement for the program. They swept through the tournament.
But they will not be at the State of the Union tonight.
They will not. And the way this played out has generated a lot of headlines. It goes back to that speakerphone call in the men's locker room.
With President Trump.
Right. So the president is talking to the men, and he says, quote, "I must tell you, we're going to have to bring the women's team. You do know that."
Okay.
And then he follows it up with a joke. He says, I do believe I probably would be impeached if he didn't invite them.
I probably would be impeached.
Yeah. It's a very specific kind of joke. He's obviously nodding to the political pressure to be inclusive, framing it as something he has to do to avoid trouble.
Regardless the framing, the invite was extended to them. However, the women's team declined.
They did.
Did they cite the joke as the reason? Because I can imagine people are connecting those dots immediately online.
Oh, people are definitely connecting them.
Yeah.
Social media is having a field day with it. But if we look at the actual facts, the official statement from the team doesn't mention the comment at all. They cited, and this is the official quote, timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments.
Academic commitments. That's a really key distinction from the men's team, isn't it?
It is huge. You have to remember the structural difference between the NHL and the women's game right now. Many of the women's players are still in college. They play for universities,
They have actual classes to attend.
classes, midterms, labs. They don't have the same professional infrastructure where a team can just charter a jet to move them around at will.
So for a college student, dropping everything to fly to DC on a Tuesday is a much bigger disruption than for a pro hockey player with an entire logistics team behind him.
Exactly. The turnaround time, that 48-hour window, was just as tight for them, but without the logistical support the men might have access to via their NHL clubs, or just the resources that come with being a multi-million-dollar athlete. So while the impeachment joke makes for a really spicy headline, the reality is likely just schedules. They have to go to class.
It's a stark reminder of the gap that still exists. The men get a C-32 and a police escort, and the women have to worry about missing a biology lecture.
It is. And professional commitments also refers to the PWHL, the Professional Women's League, which also has a schedule to maintain. So they're effectively in the exact same boat as the missing 5 men, just with less infrastructure to help them manage that burden.
But we live in 2026, and everything is content. How are the players handling all this noise? Because you have the missing 5 men, you have the declining women's team, and you have the president making jokes about impeachment. That is a lot of noise for a group of people who just want to celebrate a win.
It is a total minefield. And we saw Quinn Hughes try to diffuse it on Good Morning America. He was asked point blank about the women's team not coming and the social media backlash surrounding the whole dual invitation.
What was his take? Quinn is usually pretty thoughtful.
He was very diplomatic. He acknowledged the noise. He said, obviously a lot going on right now on social media surrounding our team and their team. But then he pivoted immediately to unity. He talked about how the men and women train together in the summers, how they are friends. He said, we're extremely happy to come, basically trying to separate their decision to attend from the women's decision not to.
He's trying to keep the focus on the hockey.
He is. He's essentially saying, look, we support them. We know them. Don't make this a war between the two teams.
And Kyle Connor, the guy who went back to Winnipeg, he took it a step further when he was asked about it.
Yeah, his reaction was fascinating. He was asked specifically about the president's impeachment comment in the locker room, and he just totally sidestepped it.
The classic, I didn't hear it defense.
Basically, he said, I don't really have any thoughts on that. He reminded everyone that in the locker room, they were just celebrating a gold medal. They weren't analyzing the geopolitical nuance of the president's humor. They were drinking champagne, hugging each other, and screaming.
That feels really honest.
It does. I think we sometimes project a lot of meaning onto these athletes that they aren't necessarily feeling in the moment. We want them to be gladiators and diplomats and role models and political pundits all at once. But in that locker room, they were just a bunch of guys who finally beat Canada. And for Kyle Connor today, he's just a guy trying to help the Winnipeg Jets make the playoffs. He doesn't want to parse a presidential joke. He wants to score goals.
It's a great reminder that sometimes a hockey player is just a hockey player.
Exactly.
So let's recap where we stand as the president takes the podium tonight. It's going to be quite the scene.
It is. You have a historic gold medal for the U.S. men. You have a massive logistical operation involving an Air Force C-32 to get about 20 of them to the Capitol. You have 5 key players who made the hard, very practical professional choice to go back to work. And you have the women's team who politely declined due to the reality of their own academic and professional schedules.
It is a fascinating snapshot of American sports right now. The pageantry of the White House colliding head-on with the grind of the regular season.
It really highlights the hidden cost of success. The gold medals is the dream, But the reality is that life and the season moves on instantly.
It leaves you thinking about the pressure of that access. We demand so much of these athletes immediately after they win. We want them on the morning shows, we want them in the parades, we want them smiling at the State of the Union. But maybe, sometimes, the most professional thing you can do is say no and go to practice.
Or just go home and see your kids, like Brock Nelson.
Exactly. Whether you are tuning in for the politics or just to spot the hockey players in the crowd tonight, it's going to be an interesting visual. Look for the guys who look a little extra tired.
Oh, I'll definitely be counting how many of them stifle a yawn during the speech.
Enjoy the speech tonight or the game,
Yeah.
whichever you choose. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.